Hello everyone. I hope all of you are doing well and that you're staying creative. I've been staying creative so much that I did something I've never done before. I built my own desk. My own editing desk, no less. Don't get me wrong. I love my current desk. It's good old-fashioned wood and not the cheap particle wood you can buy at almost any store that sells desks. No names, but it rhymes with IKEA. So I'm keeping my desk, and this new desk is an addition to my current desk. I'll tell you all about it right after this. Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, I am Fred Galvan Jr. I'm a filmmaker, teacher, and a vlogger. I try to teach the noobs how to shoot great video with basic equipment without draining the bank account. Basically stuff I wish someone would have taught me when I was a noob, and no one did. No, I'm not bitter by no means. Oh, no, that's not at all really. I decided to build my own editing desk. Like I said before, I already have an awesome desk, but why am I building a new one? My current desk has limited legroom. I also use multiple monitors for editing and need more top space. And the main reason why I built my desk is I am building my own computer. It's a monster computer I'm putting together with enormous amount of horsepower to chop down any high data project that will not overly tax the computer. I'll explain all of that information when I put that video together. Now back to the desk. I've always wanted to learn construction or woodwork, but I never did. Unlike my brother-in-law, who's a beast at carpentry, this guy can construct things with his eyes closed. Very talented guy. He's always been my go-to guy in my early stages of video production. In college, much like any other college guy, I was so broke, I couldn't even pay attention. Anyhow, he helped me build not one, but 2 track dollies. Mind you, this is way before gimbals and stabilizers, and needless to say, I could not afford a Steadicam or a Glidecam, all that. So he's talented. Thankfully, as I transferred over from my college to the professional world, I was able to make a decent living. So I started buying a few carpentry tools, power tools, here and there, because in my head, I was no longer going to live in an apartment. Eventually, I was going to live in a house where I can do carpentry stuff, the backyard. I live in a house now. I've been living in the house for a few years now and never built a thing. But I started now. I built my own desk. So I'm going to show you how I built my own desk. I'm going to show you all the things I did right and all the things I did wrong. Now guys, here's the truth. If I can build a desk, anyone can build a desk. Not kidding. It doesn't even have to be a desk. You can use it as a dining room table or any kind of table, whatever your heart desires. But it's doable. For starters, you're going to need lumber. I got 4 6 1 foot by 10 and 2 6 1 foot by 4 for now. Then I placed the 1 by 10s on my work area and then evened them out properly. Next, I measured the boards and divided it by 4. Once I divided it by 4, I went ahead and marked it so I would know exactly where I need to drill for the pegs. I then turned the board sideways to drill with the help of the dowel. And as you can see, there's some marks right there where I obviously messed up the first time, but still measured it more or less right and started drilling with a dowel, this dowel. So the way the dowel works is you lift the wood like this, the board, and then you clamp this on here. You measure where you're gonna drill a hole where exactly it's gonna be, because you're gonna do the exact same thing on the other board. Now, these holes are all different sizes for different drill bits. And what will determine the size that you're gonna use is the size of your dowel pins, AKA pegs. So I, for example, was using this one. You may need this one or some of these other ones, but it all depends on the size on the dowel pin. Once you make the hole on this side, you make all the holes that you need to make on this board. Now, you take it off, you're done with that one. Now you need here. So let's hypothetically, let's pretend that it's in the same spot as it was on this board. The exact rules apply. You pick whichever hole you need. That's where you put the drill bit, you drill, and once you take it out, you remove this right here, and that's where the dowel pins come in. It's got two holes. You put the pin on one board, and then you put it in this other hole with a lot of glue. You bring it in like this, and you do it as many times as you need to secure it. After a little trial and error, drilling these holes with a 3/8 dowel, I had a bit of a hard time lining them up. Somewhere along the way, I just messed up, I guess. But once I got it right, I put the pegs in and put a lot of glue. So then I went ahead and got the 1x4s and put them on the very side, just so the table can look a little thicker than what it really is. Now, once I put these on, I realized that I made a mistake. I didn't buy enough 1x4 boards for the outside edge. Thankfully, in my shed, there was already a lot of lumber from the previous resident. They obviously just left it behind, in which I was thankful for. And there was a significant amount of wood. So thankfully, I found one 1x4 that was too long to measure. I brought it down, but you could tell that it was cheap lumber, but I didn't mind. I mean, it was gonna do the job because I needed to put it on the edges and then also in the middle for extra support. Since I don't have a lot of construction material, for woodwork and stuff, I had to bring out a lot of my gaffing stuff from film sets. Yeah, this one right here. It worked out well. The wood I used that was already in the shed was not very good quality. As you can see here, there's a bit of a crack. Oh, and I figured out that my measuring ability was so bad. You see this part right here? Yep, all me. I finally slapped the middle board for extra support. If in the future I feel like it needs extra support, then I can always just add more 1x4s right around here and here. Since I had these little gaps, a friend of mine had some old wood filler, I think it's what you call it, but it was really old. So I went ahead and just threw it into the little gaps to see if that would work. Well, it kind of did work. The problem was that once it dried up, I had to sand it down. I also sanded down the edges to flush both boards and make it look like it was just one thick board. I ended up trimming it down because it seemed very uneven. As far as the grit on the sandpaper, I used many different ones that I had left over from I don't know what project. I just used the heck out of them. Now, you see this sander right here? When it's your turn to build your table and you don't have a sander yet, try to get one that has its own bag. This one, as I was sanding down, the lumber became almost like a powder. But a lot of the powder and the dust landed on the camera and I had a hard time cleaning the camera. To clean off the powder and the sawdust, I used the compressed air that we normally use to clean the dust in our computer keyboards and the surrounding area, which I continue to use throughout this project. Once I sanded it all down, I went ahead and just stained it. It was a bunch of leftover stain from previous projects that I did, like from old furniture that I would just sand down and re-stain. So I had that left over. This lumber really soaked up the finish. So I applied more coats. I gave it the first coat, finished that up. Now I wipe it down. I added this hole right here for the computer wires and cords. And then I applied another coat. I wiped it down. Now, the following day, I added still another coat. Then of course, wiped it down. I waited for it to dry. And then I sanded it down, kind of to give it a bit of a rustic look. And then I gave it the last coat, boom. Shortly after, I applied some sort of a gloss that a friend of mine gave me from his shed. I used it. It was just barely enough to do the top of the table. I could not do it underneath. So then here, I went ahead and just purchased metal legs, only because I know that my measuring is not very good. So I went ahead and bought these in advance through Amazon, and well, I lined it up, drilled the holes, I went ahead and took the tabletop to my office. Once I brought it to the office, that's when I started to screw in the screws. The original ones that came with the legs were a little too thick, which is not a bad thing. I just used a thinner drill bit. So I went ahead and just used my own wooden screws, which worked out just fine. Now, once I put the legs together, turned it around, not bad. This is the finished product. Boom. I'm done. Now, like I mentioned before, I am no carpenter at all. I know this desk/table is not perfect. In fact, it has many imperfections that are kind of noticeable if the light is turned on. Well, thankfully, I edit with the lights turned off, which is the best way to edit for all you noobs, especially when you're color grading. I have a custom built desk that I built with my own hands. And I can say that I built it. Plus, it's better quality than the particle wood desk you buy at any store. If you build your own desk, you can feel really good about it and appreciate it a whole lot more. Not to mention a whole lot cheaper. Well, assuming that you already have the tools to build a desk. If you feel that there is a better way to put a desk together, then let me know in the comments below. I'm open-minded, and I take constructive criticism really well. I hope this video has motivated you to build your desk or table or whatever you want to build. If it has, then post some pics or a link to your video down below. I love success stories. Also, if you feel like you've benefited from this video, then hit the like button or subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. Stay creative, everyone.